All right, y'all, I think I'm going to go ahead and get started. Once again, for y'all who've been on the line for a couple of minutes, welcome to Getting to Know teachNOLA. This is a webinar to kind of let you know all the ins and outs of the teachNOLA program. So I'll be sharing some information with you, and then I'm going to kick it over to a couple of our panelists to share a little more information and to answer some of your questions as well. And just as an introduction, my name is Lynn Locka, and I am the recruitment specialist at teachNOLA. You're also going to hear from Carol O'Hay, who is a program manager for teachNOLA, and you're going to hear from Haley Downs, who will be presenting information about our AmeriCorps program. So teachNOLA. teachNOLA was started in 2007, and since 2007, we have trained over 1,000 fellows. So improving outcomes for more than 65,000 of Louisiana's highest need students. And our program is very effective. In Louisiana, TNTP Academy, which is our certification program, was rated effective proficient in 4 of 5 subject areas. And no other program, whether it be an alternate certification program or undergraduate education program, receiving scores in all 5 subject areas was rated higher or more consistently effective than TNTP Academy. Student impact, this is what we're here for. Our teachers on average, for instance, our math teachers, students will advance by 4.9 points compared to students of other teachers. So this training is very comprehensive, and we really strive to provide you with the foundation that allows you to be able to go confidently into your classroom and really help with student success. So what do we offer? So our training is very innovative, and a big part of our training is immersive classroom practice. So we emphasize actual teaching experience and focused practice on the core skills needed to make challenging content relevant and engaging for all students. And earning your certification with teachNOLA is more than just a piece of paper. So you get the confidence that comes from knowing you're ready to make a strong start in your classroom. And this training, I'm going to go through kind of the whole year in a moment, but it starts with this very intensive pre-service training and continues with this TNTP Academy throughout the whole school year. So once you are at the point of the end of the one-year program where you're eligible for your professional teaching certification, you really can be confident that you have the skills to be able to stay in and succeed in and excel in your classroom for a really long time. teachNOLA fellows can earn their certification, as I mentioned, in as little as 1 year. So program starting in late May of 2021. And upon completion of all your required certification coursework, eligible for the certification in May of 2022. And all the while, as soon as you start teaching full-time, which will be between mid-July and early August of 2021, kind of depending on the school's schedule, you will be receiving a full salary and benefits just like any other teacher at that school. And in New Orleans, we have a very innovative school structure. So it's just an interesting place to be and to work in the field of education. We are the first city in the country where most students attend charter schools. So teachNOLA fellows can really find their fit by choosing from dozens of charter schools or our district school partners. So as I mentioned a little earlier, now I really just want to run through what does this whole year look like? We have a lot of really great information on our website, but I always like to hear kind of information directly from the source. And I want to know, what does that timeline look like for my year? So the fellows year is going to start on May 27th, 2021. So just a couple of months from now. And it starts with pre-service training. Pre-service training is 5 weeks long. It's full-time, Monday through Friday. It's very intensive and immersive. So our goal with this training is, well, first of all, we know that you can't go into the classroom knowing everything, right? There's so much learning by doing in everything, but particularly in education. but we really want to provide you with this foundation so you feel confident and supported going into your classroom. And during pre-service training, fellows participate in skill building sessions led by experienced educators. They are assigned a coach and participate in ongoing lesson coaching and performance discussions. So you always really know where you stand in the program with your teaching. And if you have any sort of issues, you have that one-on-one person that you can troubleshoot with, you can bounce ideas off of. And then also during pre-service training, you apply your skills by teaching a half day in summer school classes at teachNOLA partner schools. So a lot of this training is you're learning things, you're going to the school, going into the classroom and applying them, and then you're coming back to training again. So it's this constant cycle of learning that's occurring. And then TNTP Academy. So this is your first year of teaching. Maybe you've taught before, but this is your year of working towards your professional teaching certification. And once you begin teaching, you are enrolling in TNTP Academy, which is our acclaimed teacher preparation and certification program. So you're working with experienced instructors, and our instructors are teachers that are already experienced and have a record of raising achievement in high need classrooms. And you have personalized coursework. So we use evidence from your classroom to identify growth areas and customize coursework to address your needs. So once again, this whole goal that we have of making sure that you're supported and we are really helping you along your way. And then at the end of the first year of teaching, upon completion of required certification coursework, fellows are eligible for Level 1 professional teaching certification for the state of Louisiana. And just to note here, the certification, of course, is for Louisiana, but a lot of people ask me, what if later on at some point I want to teach in a different state? Well, a lot of states do offer teaching certification reciprocity. Kind of the guidelines for this vary from state to state, and the requirements vary. So I encourage you, if that's something that you're thinking of in the future, to go to that specific state's Department of Education website and do a little research there. So that's a little bit about the program, the 1 year, what it would look like. And here are the eligibility requirements. So we are looking for people from all backgrounds, from all disciplines, from all college majors, right? We're looking for graduating college seniors, recent college graduates, and accomplished professionals. Many of our fellows have had another career for 20 or 30 years and now have decided that they want to get into the classroom. And the biggest thing is we're looking for people who are not yet licensed as educators. And the reason for that is because since we are a certification program, if someone already has a professional teaching license, they don't need the program. The biggest thing here that we're looking for, though, is we are looking for people who possess the skills and commitment to serve our students in high need subject areas. So if you are passionate about this work, this is what you really want to do, then you are who we are looking for. And some of the here's some more of the eligibility requirements. So for when you're filling out your application, you must have a bachelor's degree by May 2021. You must already have current work authorization to work in the US, must be able to pass an FBI background check, must not be a licensed teacher, and must have a minimum 2.5 cumulative undergraduate GPA. And here's the kind of timeline of the application process. I told you I like timelines. So first is submit an online application. And our next application deadline is coming up. It's this coming Tuesday, February 23rd. After you submit your application, you will be asked to submit a video recorded interview. So we will send you these questions for you to answer and send back the recording of you answering. If you are moved forward by our selections team and receive an offer to join the Fellows Cohort, you'll enter that phase. You will need to do some various tasks for us, and you'll begin enrollment. And at the point of enrollment, that's when you'd work really closely with Carol, getting ready, doing your required testing, getting ready for hiring, getting prepared to start pre-service training on May 27th. And once again, I said, if you do receive an offer, you are you need to complete a couple of different tasks, being signing a commitment agreement, uploading your undergraduate transcript. So we have to verify that you meet the eligibility requirement of a 2.5 GPA that is set by the State Department of Education. And then just reviewing a brief video on the teachNOLA testing requirements. So we have this really, really amazing partnership this year that we've had for a couple of years with a national foundation to offer support to Black teachers during their first year in the classroom. So if you're an individual who identifies as Black or African American, you could qualify for what is called the Black Educator Excellence Cohort, or the BEEC. And this program provides support in a couple of different ways. So we provide, or it provides, transition funding to help cover expenses during pre-service training, support and resources to prepare for certification exams, a partial tuition stipend to offset program tuition, and also networking and fellowship with a supportive community of Black educators. So if this is something, if you apply, if you qualify for this, if you apply for teachNOLA or accept a teachNOLA and then enroll with teachNOLA, you will then be able to apply for the BEEC. And this is a really cool quote that I like from a 2020 teachNOLA and BEEC member who says, "The Black Educator Excellence Cohort has helped me to connect with other beginning teachers. I also feel a ton of assistance with meeting all financial obligations. I also get to talk with people who understand what I am going through on a day-to-day basis." So both this, the BEEC, and the teachNOLA Fellows Cohort, they are both this group of people who are in a similar experience as you are, right? And going through the same thing, working towards their certification. And it's really great to have that support network, particularly through one of your first years of teaching. So now I'm going to kick it over to Haley. Haley is going to talk a little bit about enrolling with AmeriCorps with teachNOLA.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here. Yeah, I'm going to provide a brief overview tonight. You'll be invited to attend another informational event in the spring about the TNTP AmeriCorps program. And then if you enroll and start training with teachNOLA, you'll receive a lot of support and additional information on how to enroll. So consider this a quick overview. The National AmeriCorps is a network of local, state, and national service programs that connect more than 75,000 Americans a year in intensive service to meet our country's needs in education, public safety, health, and the environment. So as a teachNOLA teaching fellow, you're able to enroll in AmeriCorps because you're addressing that critical need in education. The big theme of the AmeriCorps program is service. That's the most important thing. And as a first-year teacher, you're using elements of service learning that are going to greatly help you connect with your students and your community. And TNTP AmeriCorps provides our members with the training and resources for service learning and volunteer recruitment. And then we connect you with other community service opportunities throughout the year. Some of the benefits you enjoy as a TNTP AmeriCorps member include the option to apply to place your federal loans in forbearance. So AmeriCorps repays the interest that accrues on your federal loans during the year you're performing service. So in short, this means that you're pausing payment on your federal student loans, and then you have that interest repaid when you successfully complete the program after your first year. You're also able to receive the Siegel AmeriCorps Education Award worth $6,345 in exchange for your service. The Education Award is used to offset the cost of certification at university providers, repay existing qualified federal loans, or go toward future educational expenses. So I will pause here and note that this award cannot be used toward TNTP Academy expenses, but if you go on for another degree, a graduate degree, you can apply it for that, or again, past loans, past federal student loans. And then all of this award is paid out after you complete your first year of service. A big question that we get is whether or not joining TNTP AmeriCorps means that you're doing a lot of extra work in your first year. And the answer to that is no. AmeriCorps is really designed to complement the work you're already doing in the classroom, because as teachers, you're performing national service. We believe that and we see that, so that's part of it. So you do have to meet some basic eligibility requirements, which include completing an application and a background check. You participate in about 5 hours of activities, mostly geared toward information or learning service to how to design and execute your service projects. But everything else is really voluntary. And because this is a short info session, I'm going to drop some requirements in the chat. But I also invite you to reach out to us at the address email I'm going to provide with any follow-up questions about these requirements. There are a lot of them, but again, we're going to have multiple opportunities to internalize this information as we get closer to training and during training. So here you go. And then finally, I just want to leave you with a dose of inspiration, because we talk a lot about the service award, and it is a really important piece of what we're doing. But really, the service projects are incredible, and our fellows bring so much passion and talent and imagination to these projects, and they have a lot of fun planning and executing them. In Indianapolis last year, a fellow named Derek launched a multi-week curriculum where he and his students served meals at a homeless shelter, mentored younger students, and participated in a neighborhood cleanup. In Las Vegas, a fellow named Colleen taught students to work through conflicts using restorative justice in weekly community circles in her classroom. And one incredible thing was that last year, in the midst of COVID, many of our members kind of pivoted their service projects to directly address the pandemic. For instance, in Baltimore, Tracy helped students learn about community engagement through a letter writing campaign. She and her students wrote to the Baltimore City School District to advocate for increased funding for a neighborhood school. And finally, in New Orleans, a fellow, now alumni member, led students in a thank you letter writing campaign for local hospital workers to thank them for everything they were doing to help people who were sick. And these are lessons and experiences that their students are taking with them for the rest of their lives. And this could be you. So I hope you'll continue and move forward with TNTP AmeriCorps. It's a great program. Again, please feel free to ask questions in the chat or reach out to us at AmeriCorps@tntp.org.
Thanks, Haley. So now you kind of have an overarching view of teachNOLA and what it's all about. And I mentioned at the beginning, our next application is coming up. It's in 5 days. It's on Tuesday, February 23rd. And in the meantime, well, first of all, I like to tell everyone, this is the beginning of the conversation, please. I'm sure, I know we've thrown a lot of information at you, and hopefully more questions come to you. I would love for you to be in contact with me to ask all that questions whenever you need to. So here I am, Lynn Lanka. Once again, my email address is info@tntpteachingfellows.org. And to access the application, you'll go to tntpteachingfellows.org/apply. And I put it in the chat, but I wanted to reiterate, y'all, if you have any questions, we received some questions before the presentation, and I tried to kind of layer in the answers to the presentation. But please, if I didn't directly answer your question, please start typing them away in the chat box, and Carol and I will kind of divvy those questions up. I am going to go ahead and answer. Kayla has a great question, or two questions in the chat box. One of which is, does your bachelor's degree have to be related to the subject content area you want to teach? And the answer to that is no, it does not need to be related to the content area. We do recommend, so you do have to take these required praxis tests and pass them before you start pre-service training. So although your major does not need to be specifically the subject you want to teach, it is smart, of course, to have a good amount of content knowledge in that subject area so that you're confident to be able to pass your praxis test. So for example, if you're a communications major, you may not want to have physics as your certification area. I don't know, maybe you know a lot of science too, but you kind of get my idea there. And then Kayla also asked, what praxis tests are required and when are they required for these programs? So it is a requirement to take the praxis core combined subjects and then the praxis 2 for your specific subject area. And the specific test, if you go to this website, tntpteachingfellows.org, and you kind of toggle over the apply, you'll see a drop down that says applicant resources. And if you go to these resources, you can see the program testing requirements for each site, including teachNOLA. One thing to note about the praxis core, you are possibly exempt from the praxis core. You're exempt from it if you have a certain score on your ACT, SAT, or if you have a master's degree or another advanced degree. Let's see, I don't know if anyone else, if y'all want to just, throw some, I don't see any other questions in the chat, but if you think of any, or as I said, if I didn't specifically answer one of yours that you already submitted. All right, I see another one. Who covers the fees? So yes, so the tuition for teachNOLA is $4,700. And that covers all of your certification coursework for the year. None of that tuition is due until the fall. So when you're already teaching full-time and therefore earning a full-time teacher's salary, you can pay it all at once, or you can pay it in installments through the school year. Carol, do you want to, is there anything else about tuition or fees you want to touch on?
Yeah, so in addition to tuition, I think the other thing that people usually want to take into consideration is that pre-service training is a time where you're not receiving a salary as a full-time teacher yet. So you may just want to think about that and plan in advance if you are thinking about applying and ultimately enrolling and attending training. The other costs associated with the program are related to testing. So all of the praxis exams that are required do have fees associated with them. They range in price, and so you'd want to just plan accordingly if you know that you'll need to take a test within the next couple months, just making sure you take that into consideration. Those fees, the ETS charges for testing are not included in the tuition.
Cool, thanks, Carol. Let's see, Kayla's question, are we required to have those praxis scores before we apply or sometime before the fellowship begins? Yes, so you need to take and pass the praxis exams before training begins on May 27th. So you don't need to take any praxis exams before you apply for the program. That will be something that you register for and then take after you are, if you're accepted, and then enrolled after you enroll with the program. Let's see. Carol, I'll let you answer this one. Renee asked, will the class during the summer be virtual? And if not, where are they held?
Yeah, so in a typical year, pre-service training would be 100% in person. We ask all fellows to make sure that you are in New Orleans before the start of pre-service training at the end of May. Due to COVID-19, we obviously are thinking really carefully about how we want to host training this year. We work with a partner school that we have fellows teach at summer school through, And so right now we're hoping to still be able to have fellows teach in person with those students. And then we will probably do like the afternoon sessions that involve working with your coach and things like that virtually. But we're definitely planning it like day by day, seeing how things go. We want to make sure that whatever we decide to do feels safe both for fellows and for the students that they'd be teaching. So right now, we're still asking all fellows to make sure that you are in person in New Orleans by the end of May, with the knowledge that the structure of pre-service training could look different. It could end up being all virtual. We really just want to make sure that we're planning carefully and making sure that whatever we decide feels safe, but also productive and meaningful for students.
Cool. And this one, Carol, I think we can talk a little bit maybe about hiring and then the requirements for staying in the program. So if one is unemployed and opted to become certified while waiting, how is the process different, or what would that look like?
Yeah, so once you enroll, it is the responsibility of the fellow to find employment at a partner school within either Orleans Parish or Jefferson Parish. We provide resources for fellows to begin their job search, and we also share fellow information and resumes with all of our partner schools. So we act as a facilitator in the hiring process, but it is ultimately up to the fellow to be hired. You must be hired in a partner school by the start of the school year in order to continue. But we do sometimes have people begin pre-service training when they haven't been hired yet, so that's not a prerequisite. We continue to work with fellows that haven't been hired throughout training and into the summer until the beginning of the school year. If you ultimately don't get hired for the school year, we would allow you to defer your participation in TNTP Academy, which is one set of their year-long certification program, until the following year, in the hopes that you are able to secure a position then. In general, most fellows are able to secure positions. The things that I would recommend are being proactive. So once you apply, enroll, all of those different things that you need to think about beforehand, just making sure that you're actively applying for positions, making sure that you do come to New Orleans well before pre-service training when possible. We find that people are much more likely to be hired when they're already here. And then also working on your praxis exams, because our partner schools often look at praxis passage as a way to determine whether you will be eligible to be certified this year, and take that into consideration when thinking about who they want to hire.
And I'm going to jump around just a little bit because Carol, this may be a bit of a follow-up, and you kind of answered already, but Andrew wants to know, what percentage of people who pass through the program end up getting a full-time teaching position?
Yeah, so at the end of pre-service training, we do, like, there is a bar that we set that people have to pass. So those that pass pre-service training are usually very likely to secure a position. In the past, we usually only have a handful of people that don't end up getting hired. And a lot of times that's due to they either decide that they can't come back to New Orleans, they might leave after summer training. And oftentimes it's because they aren't being proactive, they aren't going on interviews. So we really try as much as we can to make sure that the entire cohort gets hired. It's not a guarantee, and it definitely still is on the fellow to make sure that you're taking the necessary steps to secure a position. But we work very hard to make sure that anybody who's eligible receives a position when possible.
Cool. And I have a few more questions, and I'm also going to kind of put, we have a minute left, but we can go a few minutes late. If anyone has, this is the last call, I guess, for questions. So if you have any more, stick them in the chat box. I'm going to go to Linda's question about how long does pre-service training last? So pre-service training starts on Thursday, May 27th. There's a full day required orientation and registration day. And then pre-service training is full-time Monday through Friday, except for it starts the Tuesday after Memorial Day, but it is June 1st through July 2nd. And then where are the pre-tests done? So the pre-test are the praxis exams, and the praxis exams are through a separate company, but you can get information about the praxis exams by going to ets.org/praxis, because each of the tests has different testing windows, different testing schedules, etc. But you can get specific information at ets.org/praxis. Let's see, if we applied on the date of a deadline, around what time can we expect to be notified of acceptance to the program? So typically, once you apply, you will hear back from our selections team within about 2 weeks with notification of if you're being moved forward to the next step of the process. If you're moved forward to the next step and submit that video interview, from the time of submission of your video interview, it will be a maximum of a month between the submission of the video interview before you find out whether you're accepted. Sometimes it is a lot sooner than that as well. We really do review applications although we have the deadline, on a rolling basis, right? So if you submitted today, we would start reviewing it before Tuesday's deadline. Let's see. Thank you, Carol, for putting that in there. And I do not know much about OPT. Do you, Carol? Do you accept OPT after graduation?
So my OPT knowledge is rusty. I was actually really proud of myself for even remembering what that is. But basically, the requirements for the program are that you are legally able and authorized to work in the United States without any sort of sponsorship for a visa. Our school partners will only hire people in this program that are already eligible to work here and don't require any sort of separate sponsorship. I don't remember the nuances of OPT and if it does require any kind of sponsorship. If it does not, then I believe you should be absolutely fine to be in the program. I apologize for not knowing like the ins and outs exactly, but that's my general understanding of how OPT works.
Cool. And I'm sitting here, I'm scrolling up and down in the chat box. I think, y'all, that we covered every question that is in the chat box. But once again, this is the start of the conversation, right? Not the end of it. And I'm seeing, Angel, I see your questions. Which praxis exams do you need to complete before the start of the training? I see that in the Q&A. And yes, if you go to tntpteachingfellows.org and toggle over that apply, go to the resources tab, you'll see the testing requirements with the specific praxis test for each subject area. Once again, you do not need to take or worry about praxis tests before you apply. That will be something that you register for, study for, and take after enrolling with the program. So once again, reach out. Here's also kind of some social media places where you can find us, learn more. tntpteachingfellows.org/new-orleans is where you will find all the teachNOLA information. Also, we touched on both the Black Educator Excellence Cohort, the BEEC. If you have questions specific to that program, you can email beec@tntp.org. Also, next week on the 24th, so next Wednesday, there is a webinar specifically about the BEEC. So next Wednesday, what month is it? February 24th at 7 p.m. Central Time. And then if you also, or do instead, have questions about the AmeriCorps program, you can email AmeriCorps@tntp.org. So thank y'all so much for joining us. Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Haley, for providing information as well. Would love to chat further with everyone and anyone about the teachNOLA program. And if you haven't already, we hope that you apply by Tuesday, the 24th. Thank y'all. Bye.